Hand designs. So before we get to the hands, we first have to come up with a series of patterns. Now, the first part of this video is for my younger friends. The second part is for my older friends. It's the same thing. So on a piece of paper, I want you to just come up with different ways to make designs in lines or in a grouping of designs. You can do swirls, you can do straight lines, you can do checkerboards, or you could group things together like small dots, make some loop-de-loops, some scales or something like that. This page will really help us when we come to making the designs on our hand. Little dots like what I just made, that's called pointillism. And on here, I just came up with a couple of designs, but you can certainly you can fill up your entire page. There's no set amount, but the more you make, the easier this drawing is going to be. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to trace your hand. I'm just using a regular size piece of paper. If the bigger paper you can use, the more of your arm you can include, which means that you can add more fun designs. So I first do it in a pencil, and now I'm going to go over it with a marker. If you're a younger body and you want to use a marker or a crayon, that's okay. My older friends, I want you to try to use, if you can, a felt tip pen or a thin tip marker. So now after you've traced your hand, I want you to sort of break up the space with a series of lines. And you can see I've kind of varied the size of each of my little spots. If one area is too big and you need to break it up, that is no problem. Just make a little line like that wherever you need to. So now I've got all these little spaces, and now I can looking at my page where I made all of my designs, I can reference that, and then I can start to add those into these shapes. And you can change the color of your marker. You can color it in if you want. It's kind of cool. So I just, like right here where I'm going over it, I'm making these humps, like these wavy lines. I kind of start in the middle, I work my way up, and then I work my way down. And I like to sort of go in between. If I'm coloring it in, I can color it in with anything. Markers, crayons, colored pencils, whatever makes sense. So now you can see that, if I have them right next to each other, you can see all the little things that I used in that drawing. It's really, it's really fun. And you don't have to just use the things that you've made. If you want to come up with your own inventions of designs, that's no problem. If you want to combine them, that's great too. This is a nice way for us to sort of get back into drawing, especially after a week off. It's really nice. So for my older friends, I want you to see what I've done. I've made a sheet of different kinds of designs. I want you to do this. You can do it in your sketchbook. You can do it on a blank sheet of paper. It does not have to be this sort of regimented. You don't have to like measure out all of your squares. Absolutely do it if you want to. But I kept on coming up with different patterns. Feel free to use this if you run out of ideas. You can reference this this page that I made, and you can borrow any of them. That's why I made it. I just tried to come up with as much things as I could. Now with this, sorry, I was kind of having a thing. With this, what you can do is you reference that and then add it into your hand. This takes a while. It's okay. It's fun. It should take a while. The more complex your designs, the more intricate you make them, the more shapes that you create within your hand silhouette, the more interesting your hand becomes. So I'm going to show you how I got to here in just a second. So I like to use felt tip markers. A Sharpie is a felt tip marker. I also those sort of tan pens. Those are some of my artist pens that I use. I didn't have like a regular felt tip pen, so I just used my artist ones. Um, that's that's totally fine. Um, but after you do the a pencil, and you can see the difference in the tips right there. After you outline your hand and arm with a pencil, you can go over it with a marker. I'm also showing right there. If you don't have a felt tip marker, a thin tipped marker works too. So once you've gone over, or once you've traced your hand with a pencil, go over those lines with a marker or a pen. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you goof up, no problem. We strive for better, not perfect. So now I like to have this like in my field of vision when I'm making my designs. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some of my shapes. And again, I'm just sort of when I'm doing this part, I like to reference my page of designs, like, oh, that's right, a curvy line or a series of parallel lines or a zigzag, different things, just so I can start to sort of create some shapes. And referencing my page of designs is an easy way for me to have a variation. I also like to make little lines on the fingers. It doesn't have to be everyone, but just some of them. It's kind of cool. So, like you're gonna get to there, but you got to start here. Um, I'm gonna show you what I like to do. Sometimes with those little spaces is I like to sort of create the illusion of volume on just like a couple of them, just so that like we know that this is a hand. The felt tip markers are really good, especially for like, really detailed things like pointillism. You can't really do that with a pencil. You can't do pointillism with a pencil or with a ballpoint pen. It just it doesn't quite work out. I mean, you can certainly try. But, you can see like you can really get a nice, complex, detailed bit. And you can also combine your things. You can add hatching to some designs. Value. Here is the finished hand. Here is the page of my designs. And here's both of them for both older bodies and younger bodies.